Добар ден, почитувани гледачи, ја следите Јокламата и уште еднаш посебно издание на Јокламата, подготвено толкму за вас. Денеска во студиото на ТВМ телевизија, посебен гостин, 25 години од постоењето и функционирањето на мисијата на УСАИД Македонија, токму во нашата земја, сите активности без разлика во која сфера на општественото живење, за која сфера на општественото живење станува збор, УСАИД секогаш со своји проекти и ние имаме голема чест и задоволство токму шефот на мисијата на УСАИД во Македонија, господинот Джеймс Стајн, да ми биде мој гостин во Јокламата, па да го фатиме редот, да му посакаме едно добре дојде во ТВМ телевизија и во Охрид. Mr. Stein, we are very honored to have you here at the TVM television and in Ohrid in general. So how are you?
I'm fine, thank you, and thank you for the invitation to be on the show. Ohrid's one of my favorite destinations.
Yeah,
in Macedonia. Yes. Yeah.
Cool. USAID mission is in our country since 1993, and what are the main goals of the mission?
Well, as you said, we are actually celebrating our 25th year here, our 25th anniversary of partnership with the people and all the governments of Macedonia through that period. When our assistance began in 1992, 1993, we started out helping to help Macedonia with its transitions. Its economic transitions and its political transitions. Economic transitions to being a full market-based competitive private sector economy, and in democratic transitions, again, to a vibrant, strong democracy with strong democratic institutions. Those continue to be our goals, as well as to help Macedonia in its own aspirations that the great majority of people share, to become a member of the European Union and a member of NATO, the Euro-Atlantic institutions.
How do you evaluate the work, actually not just the work, all the actions that are following that work of the USAID here in Macedonia?
I think over the 25 years we've had a lot of great results, and I do want to emphasize that it's through partnerships. That our assistance has always worked with local organizations, with the government of Macedonia through those 25 years, and I think it's by working with our partners that we have had really good results. We work in three principal areas. Again, through the 25 years, those have stayed constant. What we call economic growth, again, to try to help develop a private sector market economy that's competitive, that generates jobs for people, incomes for people. And we have helped to create thousands of jobs over the 25 years. In fact, just as a point, we have
3,500 to be more precise.
Well, yes, you're right. Just over in the last 5 years, years alone, with our work there, we have invested over $600 million in our assistance to Macedonia in 25 years. So it's a substantial amount. So we worked with businesses, providing technical assistance to help them be more efficient and effective in their business operations, to help them find markets, grow markets both domestically and internationally. We focus a lot in the first decades with agriculture and agribusinesses, which again was very successful. That's a very important part of the economy. We still work with them. So that has been successful. We've also worked in the education sector, particularly in the 2000s and up until the present. Again, working with every school, 450 schools in Macedonia, with teachers, with the Ministry of Education, in helping to improve the quality of education, in helping to improve the physical conditions in schools throughout the country. And in that, we've had a really...
You have a very, I beg your pardon, you have a very interesting project concerning the education. Readers or leaders?
Readers or leaders, yes. There again, that's focusing on how can we help early grade reading and math. That is, children who are...
math, favorite subject.
in grades 1 through 3. So we work again with the Ministry of Education and Science, with the schools. We've introduced kind of an assessment tool that can be used by the schools to measure how well these young children are doing in advancing their reading skills, their math skills, and then use that as feedback for the teachers in the schools. Okay, this is the information we have. What can we change to, if we need to change to make the progress even better? We're also just through this program encouraging students to read and to like math, to involve the parents as well, you know, to make reading fun. We have what we call a magic literacy van. It's like a bus that's traveled throughout
You traveled
the country.
you visited each and every school in Macedonia.
Yeah, practically every school.
In rural areas also?
In rural areas as well, here in Ohrid and in Struga municipalities, but everywhere. And that van brings books. It has some video stories as well, different kind of fun ways to think about math problems and math skills and reading. And often we've had a celebrity as well come to the school, a singer or a musician, an actor or an actress, who will engage with the students and the teachers. And then we also invite the parents, because it's also very important that parents are involved and they are encouraged to read with their children at home.
As goals, you've mentioned three very different areas. Democracy, education, economy, by helping so we successfully overpass the transition period. And where have you faced the biggest challenge? Institutional-wise, because you have to have a cooperation with the institution.
Actually, we've had good cooperation with institutions. I can't think of particular challenges. There's always events, particularly events outside. I would say, for example, in the economy, there may be periods when the global economy is not growing as much as you would hope, or there's been a recession or slowdown that can affect the markets for Macedonia's goods and services, like others. So, you know, those sorts of challenges we have to face it, but also work with businesses and the governments in promoting Macedonia's products and its businesses. We've also worked with the government to attract foreign direct investment here and invest in Macedonia, for example, because that's an important part of what's going to help the economy here grow, is to have those foreign companies here as well, bring their technologies and their business here to invest in Macedonia, to work with local businesses, create employment in the technological and industrial development zones, and help to advance technology.
Your cooperation with the representatives and the municipalities in general must be noticed, because you have great cooperation.
Yes, thank you. That was a big part of our assistance again in the 90s and into the 2000s, where we helped with decentralization policy. We worked with both the national and the local government.
Yeah, with ZELS you have a great cooperation.
Exactly, with ZELS. We worked very closely with ZELS on how to improve the management of services among municipalities, how to help raise more revenues, tax revenues at the municipal level as well, so that they can improve and expand the services that they provide to their citizens. And that's very important. You know, I've done a lot of work in my career in USAID over the years with local government and municipal development, and I know how important that is to people, because that's often where your connection with government is the closest and the most direct. In getting your water services, or heat or energy, or any number of services. So it's a very important connection that needs to be strong and sound.
After 25 years in Macedonia, when you look back and evaluate every project, every activity that you have done here, what will be your... And the management of the USA?
There have been so many.
There must be
so many projects. Even now, we have over 20 different projects that we're working on in these sectors of economic growth and education and democratic governance. I guess I'd like to highlight three, if I could, in terms of what I would say, sort of, that may stand out. Not all that I've been involved in my 4 years here, but over time. I'll start with one where I have been, which we call the Grow More Corn initiative. And this is with our small business expansion project that just ended in March, as a matter of fact. And the small business expansion project worked with dairy farmers around the country, many in Pelagonia and in Polag, but over hundreds of farmers, to introduce drip irrigation onto their small farms, Kapka po Kapka program. And just by using drip irrigation, they were able to double and even triple the yields of their corn that they used to feed their cows, right, that are producing the milk. So that meant they didn't have to buy, put out cash to buy corn, as much corn for their cows. They could buy more cows. They could produce more milk, more income for the families. So through this program, we've been able to introduce to over 600, I think almost 700 hectares in Macedonia, this drip irrigation technology. And it's something, again, in partnership with the government that they have seen the benefits of, and made it part of the subsidy program for agriculture. And we also have some loan credit guarantee that we have with 5 banks here now, in which the Ministry of Agriculture also is participating. So we have about $20 million worth of loans that we can partially guarantee to support farmers and agribusinesses to buy the technologies like drip irrigation or other technologies that are going to increase their productivity, increase their incomes, increase their competitiveness. So that's one example. So the Grow More Corn initiative. Another one, if I may,
of course,
if you had a question. Another one which happened earlier, about I think in 2005, 2006 period, was working on getting the internet and internet connectivity throughout the country. That was the work that we did through the schools and trying to get internet connections that then became wireless, wireless connections, so that schools and students and teachers had the benefits of the information that was available through the internet for teaching and different methodologies. And so through that, Macedonia became the first wireless country in the world of its size. And by introducing that, it also had an effect on competition for the internet, and for others it benefited them by ultimately bringing down the prices of the internet by 70%. So that was another good benefit. And then thirdly, in the education sector, I would mention the work that we've done recently on interethnic integration in education. We had a project, a 5-year project that again was working in every school in the country to create opportunities for students of different ethnic backgrounds to have an opportunity to interact.
And to know about each other.
To know about each other, to understand their cultures, to become friends, and to have schools from different communities, in fact, have activities, joint activities, again, giving the communities the opportunity to get to know one another and understand one another better. So we think that's very important. That's something we're carrying on, again, with a new project that's just getting started.
Since the first 2 projects you mentioned are about bringing the new technology, especially the first one with the agricultural community here, what was the feedback? Are we Macedonians ready and open for ideas, for new technologies, like Kapka po Kapka, like the drop system?
Yes, for example, yes. I mean, I think that's one of the reasons why the government decided to take this kind of demonstration level project with, although it's again over almost 700 hectares, which is a lot, to support it, to make financing available to farmers and agribusinesses. I think particularly when you have a project that can show, it gives evidence, that has data, that people can see, here's the benefit from doing something this way, from changing something, then people accept it and they want to adopt it and use it. We've also worked in other sectors with small and micro enterprises and providing training.
I'm sorry for interrupting you. Do you believe that small and micro and middle size firms can be the future of the Macedonian economy?
I think they're very important to any economy in the world. That's where much of the innovations that we find in that use technology or different approaches are introduced by small and medium enterprises that, if they're successful, become large enterprises.
Of course.
But the small and medium enterprises are also the ones that, because they are small and they grow when they're successful, they create more employment. So they are the largest generator of jobs in an economy. That's true in the U.S.
Especially we're talking about economy that suffers still from the transition, beg your pardon, period.
Right.
So
right.
It can be very helpful.
Yeah, we believe so, and we think that again, there's lots of enthusiasm for the kinds of assistance that we're giving to small and medium enterprises. Basic training. Sometimes, a small business could be one person that decides to start something and needs to grow, and doesn't necessarily know about bookkeeping and marketing and other production efficiencies, and so we can help provide that kind of knowledge to help them grow and help them network with other companies. There's a company here in the region that's one of
Uniplast in
Uniplast,
Struga,
which had been a beneficiary of some of the training and the technical assistance we've given. I think it won a national award for its work, so we're very proud of them as.
It started like a very small company, and now it's it's making their way.
Yeah, that's good.
Up in the business. We're going to make a little break, and then we're going to continue, and we're going to discuss about tourism, about Ohrid.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Почитувани гледачи, ќе направиме една мала пауза, ќе продолжиме со разговорот со мојот денешен гостин, ќе зборуваме за она што претпоставувам тука во регионов нас најмногу не засега, станува збор за туризмот и за влијанието и за сите оние активности кои што USAID ги спроведува токму на ова поле. Одиме со блок реклами. Почитувани гледачи, после кратката пауза за реклами, ние продолжуваме со разговорот со мојот денешен гостин, директорот на мисијата на USAID во Македонија, господинот Джеймс Стајн, мој гостин во Јокламата. И како што кажав на самиот крај, првиот дел од нашиот разговор, вториот во целост ќе го посветиме на нашиот регион, конкретно на Охрид и Струга, и ќе зборуваме за нешто што нас најмногу не засега, станува збор за туризмот. Mr. Stein, I promised my viewers that we're going to discuss in this second part of the show about the sector that is most important from the people of Ohrid and Struga and this region in general. We're going to discuss about tourism. So USAID and tourism, where is the help there?
Well, a good question, and it's something that we recognize is important and can be an important economic driver and help with economic development and growth in Macedonia. So through the program I mentioned, one of our projects I mentioned earlier, the Small Business Expansion Project, that also worked with dairy farmers, they were always searching for, what are sectors of the economy here that we can help to grow, and they looked at tourism. But a particular sector of tourism where they saw there to be great potential and still untapped potential in Macedonia, which was adventure tourism or outdoor tourism. Given the beautiful landscapes that Macedonia offers, Lake Ohrid, Galitica National Park, we help to develop this segment of the tourism industry here, where you had many small tourism businesses, for example, that were organizing tours. This could be, and when I say outdoor adventure tourism, I think things like paragliding, in which there are 4 or 5
hiking and
wonderful sites in Macedonia, hiking, bike tours, both mountain biking and on-road bike tours in the country, rock climbing, bouldering as they call it. So all of these, we knew there was more potential to attract tourists that are interested in this kind of tourism, as well as sort of rural or agricultural tourism,
which can be very appealing for.
Which can be very appealing, and people like that as well, to understand the local culture and the cuisine,
and to see something new in general.
And to see something new. So we, through this project, we again worked in partnership with the government, with the Agency for Tourism Promotion, and we also worked with the largest international organization for adventure tourism called the Adventure Trade and Travel Association, ATTA. So they came in and did some training of some of the local tourism operators. What do they need to do to improve their services? To how do they attract more customers from from other countries to come here, basically how to improve their businesses. So with this ATTA, the Adventure Trade and Travel Association, we brought in the summer of 2015, I believe it was, in August, about 20 international tourism operators and journalists, international journalists, on a familiarization trip. So they took them throughout Macedonia to see what Macedonia has to offer.
To see the capacities, the offer, and everything.
To see what could be offered in Macedonia. They went back, talked about it with their other businesses and clients. They wrote about it. And then in May of last year, here in Ohrid, we had what was called the Adventure Next Balkans Summit, which involved not just Macedonia but also neighboring countries who also participated, and we brought in over 300 guests who were involved in the adventure tourism industry to this summit, again, where they were able to understand what was available here for tourists, to network with the local companies here, and I think it was really a great success. And I think both through that familiarization tour and through this summit event that was held here, it really helped put Macedonia on the adventure tourism map. And as a matter of fact, last year, the New York Times in January sort of has 52 places, to visit around the world, and Macedonia was in the top 10. And I think that partly is the result of the kind of advertising that it received. Macedonia did from all these people who visited, and understanding what was available here. Yeah,
we can sell each other like a piece of a big tourist product, but this is very interesting. We can sell each other independently now.
Yes,
we are world renowned.
Yes,
tourism is a very complex sector, and economy there, culture, you name it, everything is in tourism. And your activities in helping the micro and small and medium firms here can really help tourism, I guess.
Yes, it's a continuing relationship that's been developed again with these international associations, and I think one of the really important things, as well as with the tourism agency of the government, that I think will continue to support this type of tourism in firms. But it's also important that they connect and network with each other more, because they can support each other in the kinds of offerings that they make. Again, people may come to Ohrid, but want to do something more than perhaps be on the beach the whole time, and so they can be made aware of bike tours, of hiking in Galitica, in paragliding, and all these other kinds of outings that are available.
Yeah, it's called active tourism, I suppose, and especially the young generations don't like to sit in one place and just, as you said, lie on the beach.
I want to mention one of the other things we think that's really good about this type of tourism is that that the tourists who come for this spend money while they're here, which is good for the economy. They tend to spend more than sort of big hotel type of tourism. So there's a lot of money that's generated and circulates through the economy through this type of tourism. And number two, the people who are attracted to this kind of tourism also respect and are very interested in the sort of authentic culture, in the cuisine, and in preserving and protecting the natural environment that's so important for them to enjoy the kind of activities that they enjoy.
Yeah, we're gonna go a little back, and the first part of our discussion, and we're gonna discuss about education. You've helped some schools here in Ohrid too.
We have helped some schools here in Ohrid. As I said, we've had. Let me see if I can find the list. We have. Through a program, it was called the Primary Education Project, that ran from 2006 to 2011, and then after that we had the Interethnic Integration Education Project. Both of those worked with every school in the country, and in providing assistance to teachers, but also, as I said, school renovations.
Yeah,
and this was a good partnership between really sort of four entities, between USAID, the municipalities themselves, the Ministry of Education, in terms of financial contributions to help the schools pay for these renovations, and then the U.S. European Command, the U.S. military, who also provided for the last project $1.2 million over the actually $1.5 million, I think, over the 5 years of the project, to contribute to the physical renovations. So there were a lot of a lot of different organizations involved. So I believe through these programs there have been 8 schools in the Ohrid region, the primary schools, and 9 in Struga that were part of this in terms of the renovations that were made available and that helped replace windows, facades, roofs. Could be heating systems,
in rural
playgrounds.
Areas also,
yes, also the smaller schools in the rural areas. But we've had, again, the primary school, Bratya Miladidovci, Grigor Perlichev, and others as well that have all been part of this program.
Just a small part. Readers Are Leaders project visited some Ohrid schools either. The impressions.
It did. Again, I think the students are usually very enthusiastic about the visits from the literacy van, from the encouragement to read and to have fun ways of practicing math skills as well. And as I said, to get the parents involved too. It's important that parents encourage their kids to read at home and make that a common habit. It helps them throughout their education.
Your opinion, what should be really focused here in Ohrid region, especially, I beg your pardon, if we like to follow those 3 sectors that you have influenced as a community?
Right. Well, I think, as you said, tourism is a big part of the economy here, and I would continue to find ways to support those small tourism operators and service providers to continue to attract and grow that sector. The other small businesses here that are in different sectors of the economy, of course, to help them be competitive, to find relationships and markets, not only in Macedonia but in neighboring countries.
The people need a little encouragement, a little help, and all combined.
Well, we will continue to work with all the schools again in a new project. It's called the Youth Ethnic Integration Project, but again, it'll work similarly as the previous one with all the schools and in promoting opportunities for students.
And also the media can be engaged in that.
And the media, yes. We continue to have programs in democracy and governance. We work with the government, with civil society, with the media to help citizens be well informed about the decisions that they make and the issues that are important with them, to get engaged in their communities on issues that are important to them, whether that's environmental or many different issues, women's role in the economy and leadership, a variety of issues, and as I said, in education as well. We will continue to be involved and we'll continue to work throughout the country.
Mr. Stein, you have been here for 4 years so far, yes?
Yes, 4 years.
What are your likes and dislikes about Macedonia so far?
Well, there's a lot to like. Again, the physical beauty of the country. As I said, that's a big reason why the adventure tourism has so much potential here. I love Lake Okrid. I like it. It makes
You should come more often.
I should come more often. Makes me think of one of my favorite destinations in the U.S., Lake Tahoe in California, which is similar to Lake Okrid and similar size. The authenticity of the culture here, the cultural traditions and values, the cuisine, being able to go out, again into rural areas where some inns and hotels have been developed that are very relaxing, that provide great food.
And your opinion about the food and the cuisine, Macedonian cuisine, your favorite dish maybe?
Great. Well, Ivar, of course, is always great. I love Ivar. The wines, are really wonderful here, and that's something we also help to promote in international markets in the past, with working with the wine industry.
You see opportunity everywhere.
Pastramalia.
Pastramalia.
So many great dishes here, food dishes that are wonderful, and the wines, the physical beauty, and the enthusiasm, and really the hospitality of the people.
We're well known about our hospitality.
It's definitely true. Definitely, people have been very friendly and always want to be helpful. And I think.
But how are we open for suggestions and changes?
I think yes, as I said, I think with anybody, if you can demonstrate why this is going to be better, why this is going to benefit you or to benefit the country, people are open and are accepting of new ways of doing things.
Mr. Stein, it was a real pleasure for having you.
Pleasure was mine. Thank you so much.
I hope we're going to see each other again, and we're going to discuss. We have a lot of topics to discuss, and a reason more to visit Ohrid more.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Почитувани гледачи, вам ви се заблагодарам за вниманието со кое што не следевте. Ви посакувам убаво поплодне и ќе се видиме во наредна прилика со нови гости, секако за нови интересни содржини. Имајте убав ден.